Okay. So once you buy Face It from the Blender Market and you get the confirmation email in your inbox, it'll go to a link to download it from the Blender Market. I've actually been buying more and more things from the Blender Market. I got this cool, sweet Auto Rig Pro that I'm not going to do today. I was going to, but it's just too much to do all this stuff at once. But it basically rigs characters very much like Miximo, but better, and it's still pretty easy to use. So shout out to Auto Rig Pro. I actually found out about it from the Face It dude reading their instructions. Um, I put the links to the documentation and the syllabus. You know, it does have step-by-step instructions. I'm just trying to streamline those today and tell you some caveats and with my presentation. But there's everything is here. It is now well documented. It wasn't as well when you first released it. But here again, this is a summary of all this, and this is the syllabus, and the syllabus to link to it. We're going to open up good old Blender. So let's blend it up. And we did this once already with doing the Rococo, but there's no harm going over it again. Again, for my preferences, I do like using the industry compatible key bindings. This is like Maya and Motion Builder and 3D Studios Max. You can do regular Blender ones, but it infuriates me, and it kept me from using Blender for like 3 or 4 years because I was so pissed off at the way they have like the delete button is the X key. Like that really made me angry. And then like delete did something completely different. So anyway, this makes it like Maya, and this tutorial will be done that way. So if you're going to be doing Face It and using my tutorial, you should be using industry compatible. And then to install add-ons, you go to add-ons, and then you install the zip file. You do not install, like you don't unzip it and try to install the Python stuff. You would
Hey
install,
Todd,
yeah?
maybe I missed it. Did you start screen recording or?
I started recording.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
That's no problem. So yeah, when you buy Faceit and you get a link in your inbox, you download that zip file and just select it. I don't know where it even is on my computer right now. It's is in a folder under a folder. When you're doing Blender stuff, try to add favorites so you can find your folders easier. Then let's see, it's probably storage where I had on Dropbox. And I haven't synced it locally. I know I did share, Pigeon, and then there's Faceit, and then I can say install add-on. That's all you got to do. I already have it installed. Once you do that, it'll show up, and then you need to make sure it's checked off that it is. In fact, there's a check there, and it's installed. Cool. All right. So we have Faceit, and it's ready to go. And all our plugins are deliciously hidden behind this tiny little thing called a caret on your right side of your viewport, and it pops out, and then there's Faceit. All right, we got Rococo, I got my Auto Rig Pro, and a bunch of ones from Make Human as well. And to everyone's delight, we're actually going to start off with Make Human. And FYI, Make Human, which we might have already talked about. Make Human has tons of plugins integrations with Blender, and I'm going to use one today just to save like 2 seconds. But if you want to go to plugins for Blender, just get the Make Human plugin for Blender, and you install it just like we just did. Faceit, and this tutorial today will be using that. You can also do plugins for Make Human, and this is actually you don't need to anymore because they're all included in the newest version of Make Human. That's how you got to do things like download all the assets and do that kind of stuff. They're also I haven't used any of these other ones, but I'm sure they have some fantastic functionality. But today I'm going to show you guys how to quickly do. I made a character last week, but I've made a new one today because, as I told you, don't rig your character. Just save it, Make Human, and we're going to rig it after we do the facial blend shapes. The Faceit, the simplest workflow for Faceit is to have it on a non-rigged character first. And then when I was talking to some people about it, I was saying that when you put on shirts and Make Human, it will. This is a great shirt for him. It'll make the geometry underneath will be hidden. Right? You can see by hovering over there that there's no geometry there, and that's super useful for the first step of Face It, which is select the head that's separate from the rest of the body. So that workflow is straightforward. So we're going to do this kind of we're going to do the first step twice, just so you can see how to do that. But then also for people who want to go potentially shirtless or are wearing thin strappy dresses or whatever, I'm going to show you how to just behead a character and make and Face It, or in Blender for Face It, so that you don't have to worry about having if you did the Face It on a body, it would actually animate the entire body with the jaw, and it's not the best glitch art. There's better glitch art for skeletal meshes for sure. So let's put on his crop top. And other things you might notice today is I also have a mustache on. Not me personally, but the character does. And this is just some other things that Face It will support: eyebrows, eyes, mustaches, beards. I do have a full beard here. There you go. Looks fantastic. So we're going to try that as well, just to make it a little harder on myself. And then to review, I'm using low poly eyeballs. I'm using just some hair built in. Teeth, it doesn't matter. Not changing topology. Might as well add eyebrows, eyelashes, and yes, even a tongue. All right. I'm going to export this as FBX, and I'm going to call this. Let's see. This is Billy Winters. That's his name. And I'm going to put him somewhere. Imports. This will be midterm part 2. Part 2. And that's fine. We'll call him here Billy. We'll call him Billy with a shirt. Export. And then I'll take off the shirt and we'll save him without a shirt. And that way we can just be done with. So it's not the fact that I need him topless, it's just that sometimes you don't have geometry on your clothes that will completely occlude the skin, like if they're wearing a dress or some sort of other thing like that. So here is Billy, Billy no shirt. Cool. So we can get rid of that. No, I don't want to leave. I'm going to go ahead also and just save as a make human file, just in case something goes wrong. I don't have to start from scratch. Not that it was that hard. This one's called base model. All right, nothing you guys don't know already. Fantastic. That's a glitch. It's just been getting stuck at 47 recently. And move on. All right, so in Blender, I'm going to bring in the one with the shirt first. Import FBX. And bookmark my project. And we'll say shirt first. Import. It's exciting. Let's look at Blender real quick. So let me look at OBS. All right, so you guys can see my key presses. Great, so you see me navigate. All right, so some areas of interest for OBS today. Yes, it looks like there's no textures. Your different rendering of options here at the top. We can make it a wireframe. We can make it this simple quick shade, or we can look at our textures if we want to. It just will slow down the viewport a little bit. Okay, so that's the important stuff for navigating Blender. Over here is the wireframe, or doing it like unshaded. Okay. The other important stuff is over here on this side is the object mode and the edit mode. If I select the shirt, I could select the object like this, but if I want to edit it, I need to select the edit mode, and then I can get in here to the vertex, or vertices, the edges, or the faces. All right, so here I'm selecting faces. Here I'm selecting vertex points. And here I'm selecting edges. All right, so that's that's important for what we're doing today. Okay. And if we're going back to our instructions, We've downloaded installed into Blender. So that's already set up. Then we're changing our preferences, so we're doing industry compatible. And then we're going to get ready to locate Faceit. We already found that little caret. And then you need to, whoops, skip a step. Export the character. We got that going on. Import into Blender. And now we need to separate out the jaw and separate out the eyes. So this is probably the most technical thing we'll do, but bear with me. I'm going to show you how to do everything. So the thing is that our eyeballs, low poly mesh, are actually one mesh. The quickest thing to do is that Make Human plugin that I told you about. It has this thing where it's just, if I select the polygons, it's like it'll separate the eyes out for me. So low poly mesh, separate out eyes, and I now have eyes left and eyes right. Isn't that nice? Otherwise, I could have just selected one and then separated it out. But I'll be doing plenty of separating. So first step done, we have 2 different eyes. Now our jaw. If we were nice people, we would make a jaw asset for Make Human so that we never have to do this again. But we're not nice people, so we're going to go in here and we're going to separate out ourselves manually. I found this cool thing called local view. Say toggle local view, and it hides everything, and then it just like pivots around there. It's like, that's amazing. So local view, which was view, local view, and it gets rid of everything else. Otherwise, I could just take these eyeballs over here and hide everything that way. And what do we want to do? If you look at this jaw, we need to separate it out. Let's put it into edit mode. And if you see, there's also these numbers 1 and 4, so I can switch back and forth between edit mode and object mode. And now we can see geometry. I'm going to put it into flat shading, so I can just see. I don't want to see all the polygons getting a little confusing. I just want to see the one. And then I want to get a really nice solid side view, and I'm going to hit F2. F2 gives me the side view. Control F2 gives me the opposite side view. F1 puts me in front. Control F2 puts me back. No, it doesn't. So there's different little viewports. I think F4 goes back to orthographic. And move around from there. Cool. So I'm going to start on the other side, F2. I go into face mode. And I'll even give it a little color. How about that? And we need to get rid of these polygons that are keeping them separated. So I'm going to hold down Shift, get rid of these guys, hit delete button, and say get rid of faces. Then there's this next row. Oops. This one. This one. Oops. Let's get in there. This one. This one. This one. Not that one. Guys, you're being mean. There we go. That one. That one. I'm going to do a different select mode. I'm going to do circle select. Select. Let's select nothing. Am I not selecting my teeth? Of all the practice I did, not being able to select a polygon was not something I planned on. Maybe I have to do the edge. There we go. We'll do it that way. One at a time. What you gonna do? Let's just go to the other side real quick and get the same ones out of the way. That's the craziest thing. Let's go back to... There we go. I'm in face mode. There we go. There we go. There we go. Delete faces. Delete faces. Delete faces. And after we get done with this, everything else is easy peasy. Delete faces. The most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Let's flip back around because I'm impatient. There we go. I guess I have to delete. I have to select that little dot in the center of the faces. All right. So now I know. little dot in the center. Delete. Anyway, that's it. That's the epiglottis. Don't need to worry about it. They're completely two separate meshes. Great. So now let's separate the two. I'm going to go back to my circle select, and I want to select some vertices. So this might seem like one mesh, but it's actually each tooth is its own separate mesh. So we need to select vertex points on, let's separate out the lower jaw. So we're going to select vertex on every single mesh on the lower jaw. Boink, 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 boink. Flip it around. Boink, 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 boink. Great. And then if I hit the up button, it'll expand the selection, and there's my entire jaw. From the front, around the sides, I'm only doing lower jaw. And then when I right click, I can say separate by selection. And we now have two teeth. We have teeth base, which is the top, and teeth lower. So I'm going to rename this teeth lower. Base lower. And teeth base upper. And that's the only prep work we have to do when it comes to editing a model. Great. So now we have two different meshes, and I can go out of my little local view and come back here. Great. And so I'm going to be ready now for Face It. And what I could do is now go to the shirt mesh, which is what this whole body is, and I need to just select only the head. So with my shirt there, I'm going to go back to edit mode and select my polygons. Let's go into wireframe. Select polygons, circle select. That's still on the boink. Why are you still on my teeth? Select. Let's go. What was actually kind of funny is I've done this 5 times a day, and I've never run into this. Local view. Deselect. Object mode. There we go. So I'd be in object mode to select it. Now I'll go back to edit mode. And there's the head. And I can say up. Great. I'm going to right click and say separate by selection. And I now have a head. Cool. Now we're ready for Face It. Go back to object mode. And we can say register face object. So I select the head first and register face object. And it's in there. Now I need to select all the other geometry that I want to do facial animation with. I don't need the rest of the body. I do want to include eyebrows, eyelashes, both eyeballs. Don't need the pants. Mustache, yes. Hair, yes. Both teeth and the tongue. Now I'm going to register those objects as well. Boom. And they've all been added. Cool. So now I need to tell them which one's which. So before I select left eyeball, I need to click on it first. Left eyeball. And right eyeball. I don't have any of these irises and spots. My eyes are very simple. I do have eyelashes. Let's select those and let them know I'm doing eyelashes. Then teeth. Upper teeth and lower teeth. Select my tongue. Boom. And now I am ready to go to town with the rig. So this is another fun step. This is called generating landmarks. And we're going to do essentially what they do when they put the dots on the face. We're going to put those dots on this face to identify the landmarks on a face. So luckily we're going to do it symmetrical because our character is symmetrical. So let's do, I'm going to say generate landmarks, and it's going to want me to find the chin. I'm going to put that chin marker right on the chin. Now it wants me to resize the height. I'm really going to try to frame the eyeballs. The eyeballs are where the most points are. So I'm going to try to be right here in the center of the eyes. And now let's let me do left and right. I'm going to kind of bring it in so it fits the eyes as well as possible. Boom. And I now have these dots. There's a lot of details in the instructions. Okay, this is about the teeth. Selecting the head, separating out the head. Using Faceit to select register normal objects, all the secondary objects. Great. Generating landmarks. So the documentation has some pretty good high quality photos for where these things should end up. This is how it should look like on a scan of somebody, right? So the jaws, the chin, on the tip of the nose, and around the eyeballs and around the eye sockets. All right. So with my circle select, if I select one and then go to move it, it'll move both sides at once. Both sides at once. And I'm going to try to do some very simple moves. Just try to do like one axis at a time and really get these eyes going. Sure, this is tedious, but I have a video in the syllabus of what it was like to do this manually to create the morph targets, and it's a 20-hour video that's been sped up to like 30 minutes. So just, you know, we're not doing that. I'm going to hide my eyebrows so that I can see better my the contours here. Bring it in, you just get like, you know, around the framing. This doesn't take too much attention. Okay, cool. This one should be at the base of the nose. This one should be at the tip of the nose. These are fine. This one should be further back on the back behind the ear. This one should be on the jaw. Again, I'm trying to just move it on one axis at a time. Maybe you want to hide the mustache. These can all be lower. Framing the mouth. There you go. And maybe these need to be wider. Cool. So the next button is to project it. Right now these landmarks are actually just flat. All right, it's going to project it onto the geometry. When I say project landmarks, boom. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are fine. This is crazier than normal. The lips. This one could be higher. This one could be higher. This one needs to go back to the eyeball. But pretty good. This one should be a little bit lower, right at the little crevasse. Tip of the nose looks good. Let's come back and hit F1. Nothing looks too crazy. Looking at the eyes especially. Everything looks to be in order. We're done. And that's kind of like the last step. Let's generate the rig. I think maybe this one should be like a little bit more like that. And let's switch back to the front to make sure we didn't get that too far off. Cool. Let's I don't know if it matters. I'm just going to unhide everything now and say generate rig. And let's go ahead and bind. And then it says, do I want to bind secondary? My secondary objects are things like the mustache, eyelashes, eyebrows, and I say bind secondary. Cool. And then if I go to animation, that's fine. And we can actually watch the different things. So that's eye looking down, eye blinking, eye left, eye up, eye blah blah. So that's pretty much it. It's created all 52 of my blend shapes. Let's go ahead and go into bake. And we're going to bake and generate a test animation. And that's done. If you come down here, it plays a little animation that goes through all the different things. You might see that one that goes through like that. If I wanted to, I could come back to the rigging and adjust it. If I come back to the rigging and find that one about jaw with the mouth closed, it says do not edit next to it. So it's like, okay, that's supposed to be that way. So let's not worry about it and just go forward to bake and bake it again. And yeah, there we go. The character is ready for Miximo. So let me go ahead and take a look at my documentation to make sure I'm not skipping any steps. That's the wrong one. There you go. So we have that. Generate landmarks. Generate the rig. You can test them. You can adjust, make fine-tuning adjustments, then export. And we're going to use Miximo to rig it today, just to keep things simple because everything is already as complicated as we need it to be already. I'm going to go ahead and select the whole mesh. I don't really need to check out the face rig. I think I should export everything, but just to be safe, I'm going to export like this. The export FBX. And like I say, just my selected objects. And then I need to make sure that I'm not applying modifiers. These shape keys are like modifiers, and it will actually like bake the morph targets into the skeleton. I don't want to bake them in. I want to keep them as morph targets for Unreal. Let's turn that off. And we're going to export it. And this one's going to be called, what was it, Billy for Miximo. Export to, let's just be classy and put in our downloads. And again, the textures are there. They're just turned off right now. Cool. While we're right here, I'm going to save good old Billy with a shirt. Save as Billy with a shirt. And then I'm gonna go back to opening. Import. You don't have to do this. I just want to show people how to separate out a head in a morbid kind of way. Oops, let's just do a new file. Keep things simple. Import. FBX, and I have the no shirt version. In my downloads. No, it was in here. I'm throwing things all over the place. No shirt. So separate the head. You're going to maybe go to F2, and then just select the body mesh, and go into edit mode, go into face mode, and then I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool. Select those, and then shift select the rest of them. Oops, undo, and that's. Let me do this circle select. It's a little easier. There we go. So you do that, and then right click and say separate out the selection, and I now have a headless wonder. I only did one side of him. That's not good. Let's go back into mode. It's something about I'm in a edit mode where I'm only seeing one side. 1 to F2. Back to rectangular select. Anyway, you guys get the idea for if you want to do it that way. You just have to separate out the head. Any of these lines are good. and I'm just holding down Shift to add it in. Cool. A little sloppy. There's like a occlusion select mode, and I just need to find out where that is. Again, I'm just learning Blender myself. View, occlusion select. If I find it, I'll send a little link to it. Anyway, then right click and separate selection. And I should be able to move it away. Nice. Moving that one polygon. Anyway, so then you would do the whole process all over again. You'd select the head for Faceit. Okay, cool. So let's go back to Miximo. Miximo. So to keep all the textures together, because we haven't put this inside of Unreal yet, I want to keep the textures on it. So I'm going to take the FBX file and I'm going to zip it up, which is Billy for Miximo. I'm going to zip him up. Cool. And then let us upload character and Miximo. Find the zip file. It's going to be at the bottom. I hate when it does that. Doodle-doo. Billy for Mix. Name. Modify. Let's just do it one more time then. It's going to be a jerk to me. One more. Maybe I should have done this in my downloads, where I have way too many test files. All right, let's do this one time. Let's say 7-zip, compress. Yay! Hit F5 to refresh. There it is, somewhere. 3D object. I'm going to make it easier on myself. Duh. I'm going to put you in here. That way it can't sneak away from me. There you are. You can't hide. And this will keep the textures in place. You won't be able to see them inside of Miximo, but they'll be there. Just trust me. Chin is chin bone. Wrists in the middle of the wrists. Elbows in the middle of the elbows. Knees on the knees. Groin, meaning where is the root of the spine. I could probably say that and be a little less juvenile. Let it do that. And now we'll review my notes of all the things I want to do today. Good work. So one thing I didn't really, well, this is rigging, I didn't talk about was a thing called polywinks. If you are in a pinch and you don't feel like doing this and you have to look at a nice project, this service will do the AR kit blend shapes for you. And in fact, if you don't want to do Faceit, again, I'm making Faceit completely optional for this week. You don't have to do it. Make Human has poses, like gestures on your faces. You can export those out. Do it more like mask work. But if you want to, test this pipeline, you can actually download an example of this Polylinks face, and you can also plug it into Unreal and connect it with everything. And in fact, it looks really, really good. The service is really good. It's whatever. It's 299 euros, which can save. I've seen it save entire projects. So, and in fact, down at the very bottom of the first page was the guy who did who won the. This is the guy that's wearing that suit in the presentation. He's the guy who had the homemade GoPro kit on. He used this for his Kite and Lightning one with the little babies on it. So, you don't have to do everything yourself. If you ever need help, they'll do it for you. But I downloaded it. Maybe I could show you how to put this in Unreal as well. It's really good. It has really good tongue tracking, actually. All right. So Billy's shoulders look awful. That is just awful. I can't do that. I gotta bring my wrists, my elbows in. That was terrible. Even for a class demo, I can't have something look that bad. Paula Winks. So this sample has a Maya file, an FBX file, just to see how many different pieces of software I can use in one day. I'll open up Cinema 4D. Drag it in, say okay. And the way it's presented is, oh, they did it differently. Here's a sample just ahead. This is much more simple. They used to have a more rudimentary sample. This is fine. I can just bring this directly into Unreal without having to do anything to it. And Miximo, there's all the blend shapes right here. All right, we can blink, right? Looks like it scratches that cornea just a little bit. Cool. Well, that one's just ready to import. Glad they changed that up. And the shoulders look so much better. Ready to go, Billy. Look at you. Let's give it a T-pose. Because we haven't imported to Unreal yet. So I just want to start with the T-pose. Alright, we'll download. With skin. Download. And then we'll open up the Unreal project, okay? So I got T-pose. I'm going to immediately rename this to be the name of my character. I don't want my character to be called T-pose 1, so it's going to be Billy. Billy Shirt. That's his name. Good old Billy Shirt. And I'll bring this into Unreal, along with some animations. I like the great sword idol. That's fine with me. Download without skin. I just want the data. What's some other good ones? Let's do a walk cycle. Maybe do some boxing. That looks good. Without skin. Where's like some sparring? There, that's good. That's just a little loop. Oh, but remember, I think I want him to be defeated, so let me download that. Oh, it's just a shopping spree. And I do want to have some walk cycles. I'm going to do a walk. Walking. I'm going to show you guys something pretty cool that's brand new feature. I'm going to not make it in place. I want to let it animate in world position. And I'm going to show you how to blend these in Sequencer, which is genius. It's something that brand new. There we go. Crouch walking, great fun. And then I like this little sachet. Alright, let's open up Unreal. This is my project in Unreal. Let's open up, and we'll continue on where we left off last week. So, first of all, we're going to make a folder for our skeleton mesh, which will be called Billy. Alright, Billy. I'm just going to import the one I renamed as Billy. I don't want any of the animations just yet. Let's keep this simple and systematic. This is Billy Shirt. And then, very important, the import settings. it's a brand new skeletal mesh. That's fine. So we want the mesh too. But we need to make sure we turn on the use frame 0 as a reference pose. And then this is not checked off by default. Import morph targets. Say yes to import morph targets. Import all. And what's glorious is that it will have all our materials included. That's nothing, it's just renaming crap. Anyway, so look, everything's there. Even though we couldn't see a Miximo, that's good to know. I'm going to make a folder for animations. And then I'm going to do a little dump of... where did all these go? These are from... I have multiple downloads folders. One second, where's that browser? Show me where you are. Walking with a shopping bag. Where did they go? This folder has like ghosts in it. Alright, let's get rid of all this. I'll just put it, I'll hide it somewhere. Oh, there they are. Wow, I'm crazy. Boom. Boom. Gotta do a tutorial on how to use Windows. Alright, so it didn't automatically see Billy's skeleton, so I'll have to find Billy's shirt right here. That's a yes. And then bring them all in under Billy's shirt. If you have long animations, that could take a while, but here we go. It didn't take too long. These are all short little looping things. Let's go ahead and save. I have my map that I was working on last week, but let's first of all just get these textures fixed. So definitely. So first of all, there's a warning right here. It says that the materials have not been. You have not said select morph support. That's automatically done that. I just have to resave them, I think, or open them up and resave them. But those settings have been fixed. I'm going to open up everything here, all materials, and let's make it all look nice. Or as nice as we can make it look for a make human character. Alright, first we're looking at the eyeballs. So eyeballs don't have any transparency. They will be lit. But what I want is I want them to be shiny. I want them to have some specular highlights and stuff. So I'm going to make the specular, I'm going to make it a parameter, and I'm going to make it 1 by default. And then I want the roughness, I want it to be not rough. If I hover over it, it says 0 is smooth. So let's make it 0. Cool. And now I have like a really shiny eyeball. That looks cool to me. Save it and close it. Sports suit, how can we make this one look better? Well, it's got normals, that's good. But we definitely don't want it to have any roughness. Or we want it to be rough, right? It's going to have a texture, so let's give it a value of 1. And then we don't want any metallic and we don't want any specular, so those will both be zeroed out. Cool. There's actually some interesting settings underneath here I was looking at today. You can actually say, like, there is a cloth example, and then it lets you do, like, fuzz color and cloth color. I have not read documentation on this. I am just guessing. Alright. This is all, there's a link 2 weeks ago to PBR textures if you want to get into a deeper look at all this stuff. Tongue, I want it to be slimy, so let's make it smooth. And make it specular. Well, it's going to make it look like it's glass. Let's put it halfway. 0.5. But it could definitely have some specular because that's that wetness to it. Cool. There's another thing I saw that was like skin, but I haven't had a chance to read the documentation on it. Teeth, same thing. Let's make it smooth. And these can have a specular highlight too. I'll just put it at 0.5. So we're trying to make make human character as redeemable as possible. Eyelashes are transparent. We can see that they have a transparency on them. Right? So let us make it translucent so we can have a fall off. And let's put in the alpha channel into the opacity. Done. Eyebrows are the same. Translucent. Alpha. Done. What's we got here? We got hair. Yes. Same thing. Translucent. Done. Mustache. Also, actually, let's see. Does mustache even have transparency? Yes, it does. Not masked, but translucent. Alpha. Got some pants. All right. We're gonna make them rough. That should be good enough. And then shirt, the same thing. Shirt. I don't have a shirt. It's called Billy's shirt, but it is just the skin tone. I actually looked for some Pantone skin tones. Let's just say, what is the hexadecimal? Sorry, what is the hexadecimal for skin tone? Skin tones. Let's do it somewhere in the middle. EOAC369, whatever. Let's just double click, and we can put that in here. EOAC69. There it is. Okay. It's got a skin tone. And of course, the skin's gonna leave a lot to be desired. Maybe even on the skin one, we can make it a little subsurface. Shunk. Skin, we'll leave it all like that. Let's make it smooth. He's a well shaved, so that means it's gonna be 0 smooth. Great. No, it looks ridiculous. 0.5 is fine. Yeah. Otherwise, it's gonna look like an Android. It's gonna look like Data. All right. So now when we look at our character, definitely needs a suntan, but the hair is looking better. I hope you didn't pay full price for that shirt because, man, there's just not that much material there. And then our morph targets are here on the right side, and we can make our eyes look down and up and whatever. They have to recompile the shaders, but they're all there. So we can drive them. It's not the fastest way to do it here, but for our own edification, to prove to ourselves that this stuff works. We got some really pretty eyelashes. And look at those eyeballs. See, that's nice to make that glassy there. Let's go ahead and make an animation blueprint. So I'm going to save all. And I'm going to find my skeleton. And right click on it and create an animation blueprint. So this is something we haven't done before. We're making an animation blueprint just so we can send live link data into it. I'm going to call it Billy Shirt _ABP. And open it up. And after all our work, let's make sure that it works. The node we're looking for is live link pose. Connect. Boom. That's some advanced blueprint in there. I'm sending out data now, so my live link is here. But just to add to the drama, before we do this, I'm gonna if you have a brand new project, I'm gonna show you the plugins you have to enable. ARKit. You need to enable both Apple ARKit and Apple ARKit face support. You also need to enable Live Link, which should be enabled for some projects, but if you start with a completely blank project, you might not have Live Link even enabled. You won't find that window. Later on, we'll be doing something with virtual cameras, and I'm not quite sure, but also remote session will be used later on as well. This is in the documentation. Okay, so now with all those enabled, we can get the Live Link node here, and I can do that, compile, and I'm animating my guy. Pretty darn cool. I've made face track. Man, that's a horrible mustache, though. No, it's definitely not the most high fidelity. I feel like the lips would need more geometry before we rigged it. That might just be from Make Human. Like, we can always add more geometry later on. But now, like we did before, I can record directly in here if I want to record my performance. Yay! Great. Okay. So we're on our way to success. All right. What else do we have to do? All right. So we brought in the thing. I showed you the shirt. Showed you the shirtless. All right. Rigs, animations, import Unreal, fix all materials. Okay. We've already animated it into animation blueprint one time as a sample before. We can. I could show you guys how to do head rotation, which we could steal from the MetaHuman project, and we could copy and paste in. And that's how we did the head rotation before, just to really kind of test your guys' stamina. Because I could do this for hours. I could teach the entire class in one sitting. You should test me on that. Put it in my C drive. Boom, 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 boom. MetaHuman. Let's get head rotation in there. If anyone needs to take a break, go take a break. This train ain't stopping. I heard Matt Rader went 30 minutes over on his class on Wednesday. I gotta compete.
Todd, I have a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever used iClone?
Yeah. iClone is part of the workflow for Real Illusion Character Creator. What we're doing is basically bypassing iClone. It's definitely a piece of middleware, and we're removing the need for iClone. If you were to do Real Illusion, Real Illusion nickels and dimes you for every feature, and you can do Real Illusion just for the Character Creator component, and then do this step to bypass paying $600 for iClone. In fact, that's kind of like my goal in life is to bypass iClone. I'm not 100% sure.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm not 100% sure what it really does. But Character Creator does great, and it's way more photoreal than Make Human. You can do a 30-day trial. There's lots of documentation for it, and many people have already asked to go down that path, and more than happy to do it in office hours. But this has already gone on too long as it is. All right, I'm going to steal her face rotation. Again, if you already have mocap data, you might not need face rotation. But it's kind of cool to see how they've set up their stuff. And it's right here. This is how you modify a bone. You're saying change the rotation of a bone, and I can actually steal it from here. And it's right here. So, you know what? Let's do everything else first, because this might be its own thing. I want to make sure I finish. So we can do a head rotation. It is there. It can be stolen. But let's finish our scene. There's two really important things I want to show you. From last week, I, first of all, didn't have any cinematic depth of field, and I couldn't figure it out during class. And I realized later on there's a thing called scalability settings. This was my earlier Freddie Mercury before he had a shirt on. I'm gonna delete this guy. Yeah, that's fine. Don't care. Sure, don't care. All right, let's go to find our Billy, aka Freddy, and we'll bring in just the skeletal mesh. He's huge, so let's make him 0.1. My fault. Ready to go. And then when we were looking at our sequencer last week, I had this whole setup where we lock it in, where we really weren't getting a depth of field before, and it was because my settings for scalability were like somewhere, they had auto-adjusted to like medium. And with medium settings, you don't get any depth of field. Everything's kind of in focus. Or at least it wasn't last week. But if you do go to cinematic, if your computer can handle it, automatically you get a really cool depth of field. And you can see how we start off in focus on this weight. And as we come back, this is in focus. And now down there is out of focus. So that's just like a really cool thing that adds a little bit more bang for your buck there. All right, so we can manually focus distance. So let's go to the little camera. We select on it. It'll open up here. We have a DSLR, and we have this manual focus distance. I can actually preview where my focus plane is. All right, so there it is. That's where this is in focus. And I can do a little eyedropper to say focus on this or focus on that. So that's really cool. And when it came out, you see that plane moves, and I could say focus on like this. Or I can just manually move it all the way to here. So we're just looking at the edge of that. Cool? Take it off. And now one thing I notice is, if any of you guys can see on the screen recording, is that all the materials that were translucent for our character are not out of focus with depth of field. And that is one more setting we have to make that I should address for people who want to use mustaches and eyelashes. So we're just going to find the eyebrow, eyelashes, and the mustache, and open them up. And we need to tell it to render, tell it not to render after depth of field. We want it to be before depth of field. This is just like, again, like a performance issue. We were just saying, hey, engine, no, it's important for us for my mustache to be out of focus. So, sorry, but you're going to have to accommodate me on this one. Depth of field. Undo. Do. Save all. And now it should be a little bit more out of focus. Maybe I didn't do the hair. I just did mustache. See, mustache, eyelashes, and thing. So I still have short after depth of field. Cool. And now it's out of focus. Perfect. Eyelashes are kind of still in focus. That's weird. Did I do it right? I did. Oh well. Save. Ah, I hadn't saved it. There you go. Now it's all out of focus and blurry. Beautiful. Great. So we have a camera angle here, and we have some other craziness. Let's go ahead and add in 2 more cameras and finish this project. Okay, one camera was doing this whole nonsense. All right, so we're seeing this person in the background. What are they doing? They're probably let's see, what are they doing? Let's grab them, throw them in. And let's go to animation here, starting from the very beginning. Again, we're out of focus. We're in focus on the plane. But when we get up high, we're out of focus. We don't really see who they are or what they're doing. So let's give us a little bit of information. Maybe they could be boxing. That makes sense. Boxing, and we need it to continue on until the end. It'll just go ahead and loop for us. All right. The next shot, maybe we'll get in close. I think we even had this before, but I'll add it in. I'm going to get over here to the face. I'm going to add a cinematic camera. And I'm going to parent it to Billy's shirt. And then it tells me what bone. Say, parent to the bone, to the head. And there it is. If I come over here, you can see that giant thing right there. I could pin it and bring it in closer. Right now the snapping is getting kind of in the way. I'm going to turn it off and frame it the way I want. Great. Some camera settings here. Digital film, we make it DSLR. We're going to give it a prime lens. We want to make it extreme, right? Because so our eyeballs are 50. Anything lower than a 50 is considered a wide angle. We're going to extreme wide angle. And that way we have to get real close. Maybe that was too close. And this is kind of like that Darren Aronofsky schnoz cam thing that you would see in movies. And then he's going to be in focus. So let's make the face in focus. There we go. The rest of the world won't be in focus. We can even... no, that's good. And then it's parented, so as it animates, let's do another animation. Let's bring in another animation. And this one, I want him to end in defeat. I want him to like be thinking about something that makes him feel hopeless. So this is just like a kind of an idol, right? This little, see here, it's a little sword thing. He's just kind of like running out of steam. Just exhausted. And then because we're cutting the camera, we're actually fine to just have them side by side. Right, that one does that, and that one does that. But we can make a transition by making it fold over. It's going to blend into the next one. So we can kind of hint that he's about to give up before we make the cut. All right, so let's go ahead and make that start even sooner. Great, I'm done. I'm just idling here, make it loop. And then the last shot I want to do is I want to dolly away from the character because we're giving up in defeat. So let's add in defeat.
Is there a way to slow down the animation?
Sure. There's lots of properties for the animation. You can just say what is the play rate right here.
I see.
Or flip it backwards. You can also just do a thing in your blueprints called global time dilation, and it changes everything and makes it slow motion. So physics would be slow, everything would be super cinematic slow motion. If you want to do that, it's a blueprint. You can say global time dilation. 1 would be normal speed. It doesn't go in reverse, unfortunately, but you can go like 0 is pause. Right, that's how you pause a game. And 0.5 or 0.25, it means you get to go in slow motion and get really slow cinematic stuff. If you want to. Otherwise, you could do it just for the animation of the character. It would be a straightforward way of doing it.
Quick question on that, the global time dilation. If you just hook it up to event begin play, like, are you able to simulate it or like see how it goes in sequencer, like when you're just...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could totally. So we can. So first of all, my sequencer is it's called midterm. Let's look for it here. Midterm. Right now, my midterm is not set to autoplay. Right, so I can just hit play and see the stuff happen. I can do like spacebar. There's a flow control node called a flip flop. And then when I first press it, I want it to be, by default, it'll be 1 to begin with. So let us start off by making it slow motion. So do 0.2. So A, and then when I hit again, go back to 1. So I can turn it off and on and off and on and off and on. I'll put in just like a regular dancing Billy Freddy. And then if we hit play, let's say from where my current camera is, and I hit spacebar, slow motion. Now you got your Reservoir Dog shot, right? They're back. It's back to normal speed. Slow motion. This is global time. This is everything in the scene will be slow motion, and doing it in the sequencer shot would just be the animation rate is slower. But for those who want to do like time remapping inside of a sequencer, as luck would have it, there is a thing called a time dilation track. So if you're doing like a punch sequence, you want to do a close up and go, "Urgh," then there you go. You can animate the speed. Again, I don't think it goes backwards, but that might be something again that changes so much in every engine version that I haven't had a chance to test. So we're there. Over there. Oh, I deleted my previous animation. There we are. So for the sake of time, a joke. Too late for that. We're gonna finish this last shot, which will add in a cinematic camera and put it on the rails. And what I want to do is one of those shots where we were talking about earlier, where you can go away from a performer, and it means like we've closed the chapter on them. We no longer care. We're saying goodbye. It's done. So hold down Alt and make another track a little bit longer. I probably don't need it that long. Let's throw in a cinematic camera. Parent it to my rails. Oh, there was a camera there already. Well, let us just use that one then. Here's this one. I just didn't know what to look at because I deleted the last character. We're gonna make it look at this guy, and we're gonna offset it so it looks at his face. And then at the beginning of the shot, we want it to be all the way in. We jump right to it and go over to my rail and say 0. All right, so now my rail is right here, and it says current position is at 0. There's the keyframe, and at the very end, oh, I want to go the other way. I'm gonna start at 1, and then at the end, we'll be at 0. Slowly giving up on him. Where's my rail? Cool. And you should be all zeroed out. Cool. And then I'm going to offset it to make sure I'm looking at the face. And then I want it to be in focus at the beginning of the shot. Wrong one. Camera. That was weird. I must have missed him. It should be there. And that is supposed to be looking at the face. There we go. And as the shot progresses, he's given up. And I'm going to tilt down a little bit. Joink. There we go, frame it nicely. And at the end, maybe we'll even just look at his feet. He's not even important anymore. Yeah, I don't like that. We'll look at his face still. And then we'll focus him again. Nice little focus pull. Take a whole team to do that normally. I think that I have to make sure I have to keyframe these things. Keyframe. And to the end. Alright. So we got a lot of things here. Except for, where's my plane? Why don't you be in focus? There we go. Now you're in focus. Staying in focus. Genius. That would cost so much more money in real life. Save all. Save all. Let's go ahead and add those to the camera cut so we can preview everything. So at the end of this one, we're going to bring in cinematic camera from the one mounted to his head. All right, so that's called Camera Actor 1. That's not in here, so let's drag it in. And we'll add it to our camera cuts. Cinematic Camera Actor 1. And then after we're done with that, somewhere in the middle of this animation transition, we will come over to the next one, which is Cinematic Camera Actor 2. I do believe. Yes. We lock it in. There we go. Here's my little story. All tied up in a little bow. If I hold down the G button, I get rid of things called game objects, meaning like I don't have to see like things like lights and boxes and stuff. It might be helpful as you're kind of previewing these things. Get rid of that. Great. So we want to render this out. One more plugin that we need, now that I think about it, is called Advanced Render Queue. This is a brand new thing as well, movie render queue. And so you can actually set up like a render farm, a whole bunch of sequences, and not have to like sit around and wait for it to render. So, yes. And it has a lot of new features, which are awesome. It does a bunch of different depth passes and all sorts of great compositing things. Yes, of course. I want to keep everything, all my translucency. Save all. Restart, and it'll open it back up.
You said it was the G key to hide the.
One more time? Sorry, you faded out at the end.
Did you say it was the G key to hide objects?
Yeah, the G for game object, right? It hides
Game
and it's game view versus whatever. So if things are like hidden in game, they'll be disappearing when you take off the G key.
Oh, that's good to know. I was looking for that for a while.
Yeah, there's tons of that kind of stuff. Another one we use all the time is allow transparency select. If like you can't select things because you keep on selecting particle systems, turn off transparency select and you can select objects behind particle systems. Cool. So now we're back in here and we're ready to go. We got our scene. We've watched it. I don't know if you guys do much like non-linear editing, but the JKL keys also work for sequencer, where I can go backwards and forwards and preview things. So I'm watching double speed. Looks good. Super happy about it. So, eyes up here, gentlemen. I'm gonna give a little bit more of a facial frame here. Hit G, get rid of that camera, right? It's in the way. And it might just be that I just didn't have keyframed the this relative offset. So here needs to be up higher. That's great. Maybe a little bit higher. I love it. All right, so save all. And we're going to now go to Window, and with turning on Advanced Render Queue, we now have a thing called the Movie Render Queue. Open it up, and it's a new little interface. And again, we can do a whole bunch of jobs. It's just about loading sequences, or these sequencers. This one we called midterm, so I'll do midterm. And then my settings, we want to do a PNG sequence. But you can actually render out audio, which is awesome, which is something that's kind of brand new. So we can just render out a whole bunch of passes, right? I don't need JPEG to turn that off. But if I had audio, I can export audio. I can start doing different kind of compositing passes. We can change different resolutions. There's tons of stuff here. I found a good tutorial for it. I'll let you guys know about it. Output is where is it going to go. Let's put it in that cursed downloads folder, so we'll never be able to find it again. It'll be called midterms and whatever the frame number is for the PNG sequence. Actually, that's a good call. We need to put it in a subfolder because it's a sequence. So midterm in the folder. Say accept. And then, so that's where it's going. Our settings, that's what it's called. It's doing this map. It's that thing. It's the author. Great. Let's render it local. Let it do its thing. It's going to open up. Do a low quality preview. Lighting looks a little more blown out in this, but whatever. We'll let it do its thing. I think there's like a black frame in between those two camera cuts. But you guys get the idea. It renders up so much better than just hitting this render to a movie thing. This is going to be phased out. Use the render queue. And then it's in my downloads. So if I open up Adobe Media Encoder, that mustache is just a win all around. That's my next goal. I've already got my haircut, but I'm going to let my mustache grow out like that. That's going to be a real good look. Just in time for summer. All right. Adobe Media Coder, NYU.edu. Sure. Let myself in. Cool. If you guys know that's how you log into your free Adobe Suite. And I'm going to log out my laptop. Let's go. And we're going to do File, Add Source, Downloads, Midterm, select the first frame, Open. Do it as a H.265 hardware encoded. MP4, there is no sound, so no need to use it. Say OK. And then it'll go in that folder, and boom. I've got a final. It does look a little blown out. Might be something worth looking at. Might be something I could fix in After Effects or Premiere. Downloads, midterm, and there's our movie. Ready for the Oscars. When did he get red eyes? Just gave up. Darn. Yay. So with the time remaining, I want to show you one more thing that I think is amazing, and I kind of could have shown it there. Let's just open up like a new map. This is blows me away. We're gonna make a quick little sequence. Call it new level sequence because I don't care anymore, and we're gonna load in their same character. Sell the meshes, Billy, and let's load him in. Make him a reasonable size. And let's go to that sequencer, throw him in. So what Unreal has just now allowed you to do is take animations, and you know we said initially we did animations in Miximo, we said download it in place and then use a keyframe on transform to make it move forward. But now what you can do is I can take a walking sequence, right? So normally if I did this and I added another animation, which would be like shopping with a bag, shopping with a bag starts at the back, and so does this one. So every animation starts back at the origin, right? And that was kind of why we had to make everything in place, and then we could animate it forward with a keyframe on the transform. But that's just because of limitations of Unreal. In Maya Motion Builder, you can actually do a blend on a bone, and then it moves forward. And lo and behold, you could do that in 4.26, and that's super awesome. I'm going to say show the skeleton underneath. I'm going to say show the skeleton underneath. There we go. Those two phrases. We see this one does this, and then this one does that, right? But they're totally stealing this from Motion Builder, and I love it. If I blend them like we did before, you see there's a little crossfade. If I select in the crossfade, okay, so we're here, and right now the right foot is first, but this one the left foot's first. No, that's fine because the right foot is stationary. That's good. So I'm going to say blend on the right foot. Match this pose with the previous clip, which is the previous clip, with the right foot. Boom. And now it goes forward. So now you can blend your animations and create, they have positional offset. All right, make it a little further. And just need to choose like what bone. Usually it's foot bones with these kind of stuff, but if it could be, you know, but as long as it, this one will go backwards, but it would start at the, you know, the offset. Let's see, show skeleton. Let's blend it and do it with the right foot again. This is brand new. I saw it last week when I was teaching. I was like, I got to figure this out. That's what we don't want it to do. And this one with the next one, with the right foot. Let's see how that goes. And then I just screwed them all up. That's what I don't want it to do. Blend with the previous. There we go. That might work. So it goes backwards. See? So the direction is where the other one leaves off. That's amazing. That's amazing, 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 amazing. That was something you only could do in Maya Motion Builder. Cool. Looking out for them. We can really make seamless transitions. Been kind of waiting for this for like 4 or 5 years. Just snuck in there. Just noticed it last week. This is actually visually exactly how Cinema 4D shows it, kind of, when you do it there. Anyway, so that's it. And I'm going to go to OBS and, oh, well, I wasn't recording. Well, we don't need this. I'm just joking.